The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast. I even struggle with saying that actually, Julia, but nevertheless.
Well, I'm Julia.
Oh, yeah. And I'm Elaine. And together we are the Potty Plotters. And don't forget, you can get in touch with us at any time via our social channels. So welcome back to episode 13, Unlucky for Some.
Or lucky for you if you've found us, because in some countries it's actually a lucky number, and you're very lucky because you've found us.
Oh, that's a nice thing to say, Julia, and particularly because we are going to be talking about your melons today.
Oh,
Yes, we certainly are, as well as cucumbers, and we're going to have a chat with a lovely chap called Keith. And Keith lives up north, but nevertheless, we've got our passports and off we jolly well go.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
So the first thing that we're going to do then is we are going to talk about our cucumbers. Now, Julia, you know I like a long one.
You do. In fact, you show it off quite frequently, don't you?
I do. It's just, I'm fascinated how they grow, the way that they grow, and why it is that, like, they don't explode. Why is it that cucumbers just carry on growing? Why don't they just, like, grow fat and explode? But they don't, do they? They just grow very long and beautiful. I think they're quite an art.
But if you leave them too long, they do go white and horrible and seedy.
Well, they might do in your greenhouse, but we eat them generally, Julia, so we
Actually,
don't.
you don't. You put them in your gin.
I do, yeah. Or cucumber gin. Now, that's a recipe that we will share with people because, again, it is so easy and so beautiful. And we're not far off summer now, so let's think about how to make cucumber gin in perhaps a few more episodes. Yeah. But first of all, we've got to create them. So in front of me here, I have got a packet, and these are Telegraph improved. I've used them so many years. I just think that they're infallible. I've never had a problem with them, and I just adore them. I love cucumber. So what I'm going to do is I've got a packet here, and I'm just going to open them. Inside, there'll be another little packet. It's like pass the parcel, but there's nothing really.
You've not passed anything to me, though, have you?
No, you don't want these, not yet. So I'm just opening the packet here, and inside there's loads and loads of seeds. I lied about loads and loads because there's about 25.
Oh, how much did they cost you, Elaine?
I think they were about £2. Oh. Now, they are quite expensive in comparison to a lot of other seeds, but the good thing is that there's loads of them. Now, if you bear in mind that I probably will only need 3 plants, that's all. But the others I can give away. And these, as I say, are fantastic, I think, fantastic value for the amount of fruit that you get off them. So, in front of me here, I've prepared one earlier, like old Blue Peter style, and I've got a cell tray, and here I've got 6 cells. And the cucumber seeds themselves are, now then, you can do it in proper language. To me, that's about half an inch.
Yeah, that's about half an inch.
OK, I thought you were going to come out with centimetres
or something.
Well, it's
about a centimetre, yeah.
Right, about a centimetre?
About a centimetre is half an inch.
Is it really?
Something like that, yeah.
Are you making that up? Right, OK. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to push only twice the depth of the seed. That's how far I'm pushing it down. But this seed is considered to be quite big, which it is when you consider the onion seeds, petunia seeds, all those kind are incy-wincy ones. These actually are quite big, so they need to be laid on their side, not on their back. And that's simply so that the water can run straight over them rather than settle and rot on them. OK? So
you're sowing 6 seeds at the moment, and you only need 3 for yourself.
Yeah.
But even 3 seems quite a lot for just you and your husband. So you're going to, if it was just a couple and they weren't like you making gin and everything else out of them, they'd only need 1, wouldn't they, really?
They would, but I think it's a great way of making friends. And in this day and age of austerity, you know, it's only cost me a couple of pound. I might as well set 6, hadn't I? If necessary, you can give them away, you can sell them, you can plant a few more, it doesn't matter. But I think there's always somebody who will no doubt come creeping over, like Kev Plot 2, and say that, can I have one of your plants? Because he knows how good I am at growing them.
Well, actually, normally comes and asks for mine because I grow the short variety. I prefer to grow the short variety, which are a snack size cucumber.
Right.
So I'm not going around hitting or assaulting people with them like you do. But there are different varieties for different people, and I like a small one.
On that note, Julia, I'm going to wet this now, and then I'm going to leave them on the windowsill, and I can guarantee in a fortnight these will have sprouted.
Okay. And while we're talking about cucumbers, and in the same family as cucumbers are the melons. And it's something that I've been growing now for the past couple of years, are melons. And everybody seems to, it's a bit like my tomatoes that are enormous. People seem to come and gawp at the melons in the polytunnel. And also, quite a few of the men on site seem to want the plants of the melons, not the melons themselves. So they do spread around the allotment site, my melons do.
Why do we laugh? Every time we talk about Julia's melons, even I start to laugh. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
We do know that they fill the bras, don't we?
I've got photographs of your melons in bras, but they do, joking apart, they do act as a brilliant support for them, don't they?
And they are a bit of a novelty. So I think most people associate greenhouses and polytunnels with growing tomatoes, cucumbers. And the thought of growing something quite exotic like a melon seems quite adventurous, but it's not that hard to grow. If you can grow a cucumber indoors, you can grow a melon, and they need exactly the same conditions, and even down to the point where we're planting them at the same time as your cucumbers.
Okay.
Again, if you look at the seeds when I rip
I don't think I've ever seen a seed of a melon other than the ones that I've bought, which obviously are going to be the same.
Almost exactly
they do, yeah.
They're almost exactly the same as your cucumber seeds. So we need to get these right.
Yeah.
We don't need to get them mixed up, but they do need exactly the same conditions.
All right.
So I'm planting them at the same time. They'll be quite happy. You know, we've talked about previously about tomatoes and cucumbers not really being happy roommates. Well, a melon and a cucumber and loofahs, they're all very happy together because they are in the same family. So I'm just going to set some melon seeds now, again, on their side, just like you've done with the cucumbers. I'm going to get 6 going, and I think there's about 20 in the packet, and I will sow the whole packet because, joking apart, people are catching on to them and do want to have a go at growing them, and they are beautiful when you grow them and they become ripe. And the way you tell whether they're ripe is they give off a very pungent smell, and you can tell that they are ripe, and that's when they come off, and they literally come off in your hand.
Perfect. So let's get them on the windowsill, finish planting them, and then we've got plenty for everybody.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
So, Julia, have you got packed lunch?
Yep.
Okay, and have you got your passports?
I bought my passport, because
Is it
you
in
said
date?
we were going out somewhere.
Well, we have, and that's the nice thing, because we've come out on a bit of a day trip today to meet a lovely gentleman called Keith Fern. And Keith's based in North Derbyshire, and we met him earlier in the year as we did a talk at his gardening club that he goes to. So
Yes, I do remember that. He had a lovely dog with him, didn't he?
certainly did. And here we are now in his humongous greenhouse. And hello, Keith. Here we are in your greenhouse.
Good morning, Elaine and Julie. It's a pleasure to have you up here.
Well, I wouldn't be so quick to say that, Keith, because you don't really know us that well and you don't know what's about to behold you. But thanks very much for having us. And I can see already that you've set up beautifully in your greenhouse. Not only is it massive, but you've got thousands of plants in here.
Yes. But already we've got cabbage, Brussels and cauliflower, which have been pricked out, ready for going to my friends in due course.
Now, the thing about all of this, Keith, is that that's really not unusual at this time of year, except what is unusual is that you're blind.
Well, that's correct. I was born totally blind, and then after a lot of operations got sight in one eye, which was about 60%. And then about 30 years ago, I lost my sight completely again after an operation. And so I've always said I shall leave this world as I came into it. But in between, I've been able to see. So it's been like a sandwich.
Where did you learn how to grow?
Well, I actually started growing at school when I was about 8 years old. I was at Sheffield Royal Blind School, and even in the 1940s, they was very keen that we should lead a normal life. And we all had our little strip of gardening. And I was so proud of it. And you can imagine we sowed all the seed in the spring, but we had 6 weeks holiday in July to September, and you can imagine what the plants was like when you got back in September. What we were taking pride of between May and July became a forest in September, and it was totally. But nevertheless, that's where I got the urge for gardening. I actually turned a hobby into a business because I enjoyed gardening, so I turned a hobby into a business. But prior to that, I went to Malton Agricultural and Horticultural College in Northampton and did a fortnight's training gardening for blind people. While they had their summer recess, we moved in and we had this fortnight's experience, and it certainly set me up.
The thing is, Keith, I mean, I think that gardening is tricky at the best of times, and we faff around and we get our fingers stuck with seeds, then we get into pricking out and planting. But how do you know what seeds are what?
Well, I do have them labelled up. Obviously, I'm no different to you in a way, because without the labels, I wouldn't know, would I?
But what have you got on your label that's different to mine? Because I can see and I can read.
Well, I've got mine brailled up, obviously. See, I was educated as a blind person, so braille to me is like print to you.
When it comes to pricking out, because obviously you've got loads and loads of tiny seedlings here in front of us, I can see that you've got cabbages, cauliflowers, what looks like to be. You've got petunias, sweet peas, definitely, lupins, all kinds of stuff.
Of course, yeah. Now then, you was on about sowing sweet peas a few weeks ago.
That's right.
Now then, I always sow my sweet peas in October. October the 10th is where you should sow your sweet peas.
And what's the relevance of October the 10th, dare I ask?
Because it gets a good growing time to make a good root system prior to the winter coming on. Okay. So all those sweet peas have actually had all that length of time growing. Whereas yours are now making root, mine are ready for moving up and going up the stick.
It's not a competition, Keith. You're not dissing off with our sweet peas.
When I listened to your podcast, I thought, hang on a bit, they need to be learning something.
Hey, we can learn something. We'll have a go next year, or this year. Thanks, Keith.
Yeah, so these have been in the cold greenhouse, those sweet peas, all through the winter.
Let's move on then to lobelia, because I can't figure out, because you're walking around this greenhouse like you know it.
Well, I think I might just do. Lobelia is very small. I used to grow lobelia for commercial selling, and I used to sow a gram at a time. I use my mouth a lot for holding things and whatnot. Lobelia being very, very fine, what I use is this little pot. What they used to be, it used to have a film in it. I've made it like a pepper pot.
Yeah.
So
poke loads of holes in the top of it.
Loads of holes in the top. I'm tipping the packet into the container. I like lobelia to come up as a carpet.
Yeah.
Because you don't prick lobelia off, you get it out in clumps.
Yeah.
And what I do, I've got next to my little finger, I'm going to keep going round and round.
So you're tapping round the edge of the tray?
The edge, and the seed, hopefully, is coming out.
Keith, do you use this method for all seeds, or is it just the lobelia?
This is lobelia, and any petunias, I'm going to try doing it with petunias because they're far too small. Then what I do now, put the hood over and into the propagator.
Keith, it must be important for you to keep your greenhouse tidy and not have anybody... No, but it is quite tidy because you need to know your way around it. It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What's yours to shame, Julia?
Yeah, it does, really. I mean, I can just throw things anywhere, but I suppose for you, you need to make sure that you put things where you can find them.
But not, it doesn't work like that.
Oh.
It doesn't work like that. It's many a time. But the point is, on my phone, I've got an app, and it's called Be My Eyes.
Oh.
And should I need any help in the greenhouse, instead of keep nipping into my wife, who complains, "Oh, not again," you know what I mean? I just bring this app up, go through, and there's over 2 million people throughout the world who respond to this phone call. And I then use my camera on my phone, and I can say, "I put my dibber down somewhere, can you find it, me?" And they'll say, "Follow," they'll use my camera, and then they'll say, "Yes, put your hand just down there," and it's there. It might be two foot away from me. And it could be somebody in Australia or anywhere.
Show us how to prick something out then. To me, I think they're really tricky to do anyway. And so you're working over a cell tray that's already in a tray as well.
As you see, I've got this workbench here. Now, when I was partially sighted, I used to have things high so that I could get my head down to see what I was doing. I've got a pot with some lettuce plants in, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to empty them because I've wet them through. These are very small, these are, to be
They are, very fiddly.
And your hands have got to be quite warm. I've took most of the compost off.
Yes, you've shaken the compost off, yeah.
What I'm going to do now, I won't be able to talk, but I'm going to put these into my mouth.
So Keith's got them in his mouth at the moment, and then he's separating them individually and pulling them out, and he can obviously feel the root system and feel where he's put his hole, and then popping the lettuce with the root system into the hole.
And it's a single lettuce.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Keith. So there's a big push at the moment, as you know, because of the austerity situation of everybody growing their own.
Yeah.
And yet, Keith, you've been able to do it and you've never been able to see. So what would be your advice to people perhaps who have got other disabilities, who just can't be bothered or think that it's too hard for them?
Very simple. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Well, you are an inspiration.
That's
There's no
great
doubt
advice,
whatsoever.
isn't it? Yeah.
But I can't wait to see when we get back to the plot in a short while, Julia with all these seedlings hanging out her mouth with a blindfold on, probably made of tights, to see what she can create. Thanks ever so much, Keith. Good luck.
Thank you.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Well, we want to thank Keith again for inviting us over. He really is a truly amazing, inspirational gardener, isn't he, Elaine?
And I think he's one of those people that when you've listened to him, you think, why can't I do that? Well, you can. But all you need to do is to listen to our podcast. So to make sure that you don't miss an episode, subscribe or follow. I know we've said it a few times, but just do as I say.
I wouldn't dare argue with you.
You look quite frightened when I said that. But in the next episode, what we will be doing is actually, I think that could be our bonus episode.
Oh,
I think it is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, you listen to what we're all going to do and how it's all going to happen. And I tell you what, the earth will be moving. Guaranteed.
And what will we be doing in our normal episode then?
In our normal episode, we'll be moving soil. That's what we'll be doing because we're going to plant up some potatoes. We'll show you how to do it. And let's get some beetroot underway, shall we?
Oh, the lads will be happy. The potatoes are going in. The chips will soon follow.
Oh, you can't beat it.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters is an Amberland Media production.